to the screen. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Go ahead and take out your muscle endurance lab and your flexibility labs from 2 days ago. Okay, got 1:30 up here. So let's just run through this because I'm guessing there's some questions. Part of this was just gonna see if anybody would do a little bit of research if you didn't know the answers to the questions. We did talk about this. What is the role of the GTOs? Do they sense changes in length or tension? Do you guys remember? I did mention it. Talking about in general, the GTOs are going to sense tension. Okay, so you're sensing when there's tension. They're located in the tendon. Okay. Yours doesn't. Yeah. Okay. Muscle spindles. This is just the way that I teach this because it's how I have it ingrained in my brain. That might help you remember. Sense that change in length. Okay, and the muscle spindles are going to be the ones that want to cause a contraction. So the muscle starts lengthening. It gets to a point where the muscle spindles are sensing that damage could occur. It's going to cause a contraction and make that muscle shorten back up. So those dependent organs located in the tendons, they sense changes in tension. Okay, the muscle spindles are located in the muscle, and they check changes in the length of the muscle. Both of them are getting signals, sending and receiving signals through the CNS, the central nervous system, okay, the brain, and the spinal cord. Again, if muscle gets to a point where it's on the verge of damage, okay, a strain or perhaps a tear, then it's going to require the muscle spindles to take action. We want relaxation. Okay, we want some relaxation so we can cause that lengthening of the muscle. But if it gets to a point where it's under too much tension and now it's getting strained too far, those muscle spindles are going to want to react. Okay. So we did talk about the answer to A1, to B1, and to C1. Okay. The questions down here, there were 3 of them. When is the best time to perform PNF stretching? I actually talked about that yesterday too at the very beginning of class. Does anybody remember? Huh? Yep, at the very end, when you're really warmed up, okay? Some of that stretching, you guys were just like, oh my gosh, oh, there was lots of moaning and groaning going on. Okay, passive stretching can be like that because you have an external force making your appendage go that extra little bit. So it's really important that you warmed up. Remember, with the whole thing with muscles and wanting to stretch, they like to stretch most when they're warm. Where does the Golgi tendon organ send a signal when sensing a change? The central nervous system, okay? That could be just the spinal cord. If necessary, it will travel all the way to the brain if it needs to be interpreted. Okay. So it says when performing the hold relax with opposite muscle contraction. So remember, we were stretching the hamstrings. Okay, there's 3 hamstring muscles. We were stretching the hamstrings, but then for this PNF stretch, it asked you to cause a contraction in the opposite muscle group, opposite on the side of the bone, which would be the quadriceps, quad, so there's 4, right? So it says, which group was acting as the agonist, the prime mover, for the action that your leg was doing, okay? And which was acting as the antagonist or the opposite, it's wanting to move the leg in the opposite direction. So you were laying supine on your back and you were moving your leg towards your head. When you caused that contraction in the quadriceps, that wanted to move your leg further towards your head, okay? So which muscle group was acting as the agonist or the prime movers? Quadriceps, good. Which muscle group is acting in opposition to that? Not wanting to let it go? Hamstrings. Yep. Good job, guys. Okay, so that should finish up what you have on that. Did we have any questions about the muscle endurance lab? Nope. Are you guys ready to turn them in? Yep, awesome. Okay, I'll come around and pick them up. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so on the calendar it says Sunday. So turn it out Sunday.
Sorry, what?
On the calendar it says these are due Sunday.
You can turn it in on Sunday. That's fine. Okay, so I have a question for you. Is anybody sore? A few people are sore. Okay. I don't know. It just depends kind of on the person and what your training has been. But you ever notice that sometimes it's not the day after you're sore, but it's 2 days after you're sore, like really sore? Okay, do you know what that's called? DOMS. What does DOMS stand for? Good, delayed onset muscle soreness, and it is most often associated with exercises that include eccentric movements. Okay, so what was the eccentric movement when you guys were doing your body weight squats? What portion of that exercise was an eccentric movement or mostly eccentric contraction of the muscles? Going down, the downward phase, very good. What about the push-ups? Going down. What about the curl-ups? Going down. Okay, so, and when you did multiple repetitions, multiple over and over and over again, as many as you could do, and if you're not used to that, especially, okay, that's when we usually see that DOMS pop up, okay? Small micro tears, right, in the muscles, in the muscle fibers. So sometimes it's really bad. You ever had it where it's like, I can't get down to the toilet seat. I just can't, okay? That's bad. It obviously clears up. It always gets better. But sometimes that's what you're dealing with, especially if you introduce a new exercise and it has a very prominent component of eccentric movement, you're gonna feel that DOMS. Okay, guys, this is a very short, I told you these fitness components chapters are very short and brief. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through this. There are some terms in here that I wanna make sure people understand though, because we are talking about the neuromuscular system and making sure that people understand how, like kind of the big picture here, how this all works together. So if we're talking about this and there's something that I say and it doesn't quite make sense and you're trying to put these pieces together in your brain, you're probably not the only one in the class. So just raise your hand and ask the question, okay? Let me make sure just real quickly that I am, yeah, I need to redo this. Sharing, there we go. Okay, so chapter 8, here's some of those objectives that I'll let you guys read through if you're interested in. So the neuromuscular system. We're gonna take two systems and put them together. What are they? The nervous system, the muscular system, neuromuscular, okay? Communication through the neurons, sends those signals and innervates the muscle fibers to cause a contraction. I'm not going to go into the depth of the physiology here because it's not necessary right now. But really, it's the brain, right? The central nervous system, which is the brain and the spinal cord, and those extremity nerves. So we've talked about proprioceptors. Any type of receptor is going to work as something that is going to help to send and receive signals about what's happening in the body. Okay, again, that could be related to muscle length, muscle tension. That could be related to joint positioning. Okay, recognizing that the joint is not in a good position right now, we need to make some adjustments so that an injury does not occur. So it's going to integrate that sensory information, and it coordinates the appropriate muscle actions needed to produce a desired movement. Now, when you were a kid and your neuromuscular system was learning how to integrate this information and to take it, and this is what the body is saying, this is what I'm getting, what type of movement needs to be produced, that whole process took a lot longer when you were a child. You ever watch a kid try to tie their shoe? Like one that's learning? It's pretty slow, right? Or maybe you remember, maybe you're still working on it. No, just kidding. But maybe you remember when you were learning how to tie your shoe, okay? It was a slow process because you're trying to figure out how to move your hands, how to coordinate your fingers, and in your brain, you're also thinking, which way do I need to move this shoelace in order to get it into the proper knot, right? As you aged, as you practiced, what happened over time is your system became better able, more efficient to interpret those messages, and it already had a prepared pathway. It knew exactly where and what needed to happen. And so sometimes when I'm saying, maybe it only travels to the spinal cord, maybe it has to go all the way up to the brain, some of that is dependent on, is it something that you've been doing over and over every single day for your entire life, or is it something new? Okay, because if it's something new, we are working to create those new networks, those new pathways, in order to figure out which pathway is going to be most efficient. There's something called a feed forward and a feedback system. Okay, feed forward and feedback. Feed forward is that anticipatory. This is again the example of you trying to tie the shoe when you're a kid versus you tying your shoe now. You already have those pathways ingrained. Your system knows exactly what to do when you go to tie your shoes. And so it's quick, it's efficient, okay? Right, all the right muscle recruitment happens really quickly because it knows exactly what needs to happen. When you were a kid and you were learning how to tie your shoe, you were working on a feedback mechanism where you were trying to figure out, how do I make that loop with this shoelace Where do I place my fingers? How do I do this? You were interpreting what was working and what was not working while you were trying to tie your shoelaces, which is why it took so long. And your system was then trying to react to what wasn't working and fix it. Okay, so the feed forward and feedback mechanisms are key, and they are really what make a difference in a young, unexperienced athlete and an elite athlete. Years of training, okay? Working on a feed-forward anticipatory action. The neuromuscular system is going to coordinate every single thing that you do all day long. And a lot of it is going to be totally something you're not even thinking about, right? You don't think about how you're writing anymore, you just do it. You don't think about when you scratch an itch usually, or when you're moving your hair out of your face. There's a lot of things we do every single day we don't think about anymore, but your system is still working to coordinate all of that. So what is the purpose of neuromotor training? Okay, what are some of the benefits associated with it? We know that it's going to improve various skill-related components of fitness. So skill-related, what does that mean? Skill-related. We're not just referring to your basic, go get on a treadmill and run right now. Sorry, you're on.
Like cleans.
Okay, skill-related cleans. So your ability to know how to efficiently move your arms and make sure that your elbows stay high and then they drop low in order to catch the bar at the very end, the movement of the hips, etc. Triple extension, there's all those things going on. That's a skill, something that has to be practiced in order to become really good at it, right? We know that it is going to improve balance. The purpose of neuromotor, or kind of at the heart of neuromotor training, is taking maybe your daily routine exercise and making it a little bit harder, adding another challenge to it, and that challenge can oftentimes be in the form of decreasing the size of your base of support, okay? So instead of always doing your exercise with 2 legs on the ground, now you're doing the exercise with 1 leg on the ground, okay? So balance is a great thing. That's why neuromotor training is really key for people as they age. Yoga is great for people as they age. So just real quickly, go ahead and everybody stand up. I'll give you an example of how you take something and make it harder to really focus on that neuromotor component. Okay, so you guys are all, everybody in here is probably just fine and capable at standing on 1 leg, right? So go ahead, and this is one assessment that we're going to do actually in class. Stand on 1 leg. It's pretty simple for you. We could add a challenge by asking you to move that appendage, in circles, forward, backwards, whatever. Okay, now let's take away one of your sensory components. Let's take away your eyes. So close your eyes. Took away your vision, right? Still try to move that leg in a circle. And now what I would like you to do is do the alphabet backwards. Say the alphabet backwards. Stay standing on 1 leg. Keep your eyes closed. And keep moving your foot in circles. And now do figure 8s. And then you would want to switch sides, right? We'd obviously want to stay bilateral here. So we took away, thanks guys, you can sit back down. We took away one of those sensory inputs. It's easy for us to do just this. How do we make it harder? This is also a great thing for any athlete, okay? Great for younger athletes, getting them exposed, having them work on, it could be a Bosu ball, for instance. You're throwing a ball at them every which way. Or again, it could be a stability disc, right? And you're asking them to close your eyes. Okay, start handing them out math problems. They can figure out what the answer to the math problems is while they're still trying to stand on 1 leg and focus on that. Lots of things that we can do to make it more challenging and to task that neuromotor system. Improve muscle strength, improve agility, okay? Training for agility is another way that we can task that neuromotor system. Improve speed, specifically if we're looking at this, we've seen improved efficiency in muscle recruitment. I talked about that, right? Muscle recruitment happens, it starts with the smallest muscles first, and then it works up to those larger muscle fibers, those usually type 2 muscle fibers that are a little bit bigger, as the system determines how much force it's trying to generate. Okay, I need more force, it's gonna recruit up the chain. So, again, the better you become at this, the more quickly the system identifies which muscle recruitment needs to happen, which muscles need to be recruited. Enhanced muscle force production, that works together with that muscle recruitment, okay? Better muscle recruitment will equal more force generation. And then improve reaction time in response to changes in the environmental conditions and body position. We're talking about agility, okay? Agility is really, you're accelerating, decelerating, changing directions. That's what agility training is. That's something that you have to do on a daily basis, right? You're walking to and from class, somebody walks right in front of you, what do? You have to decelerate really quickly, come to a stop so that you don't run into them, or you have to change directions really quickly. That's all part of being involved in agility. Another reason why it's great for older individuals as well, because of their activities of daily living. This term up here, functional training, it's just important to note that it's exercise that can directly benefit balance, motor control, and proprioception. Functional, it's functional. Because it benefits these things, it translates into those activities of daily living. Proprioception, you guys remember that word? We've said it several times now. You know what it means? Very good, Antonia. Knowing where your body's at in space, okay? Knowing where your joints are positioned. Knowing that your joints are positioned in a good location so that an injury will not occur. Yeah, I love this. They have kids do this too, right? So we'll see sometimes what kids are doing are the same things that we'll see prescribed for those older adults. Okay, so your book talks about a few different assessments, and we won't do all of them in class, but we will do several of them. This Edrin, this is really a side shuffling. Actually, both of these. This is sidestepping, this is side shuffling. But both of these are about lateral movement, essentially. This one, you just place cones, or you can lay tape on the floor every 3 feet. You start in the middle, you sidestep one direction, and then you sidestep to the other direction. You only do this test for a duration of 10 seconds. So it's very quickly, and then how you rank is based on how many lines or cones that you passed in that 10-second time. This one probably looks familiar to some people, especially if you are familiar with the NFL Combine, okay? This is the T-test, the agility T-test. We will do this one. This one you start here. This is placed out at 10 yards and then 5 and 5. And you start at A, you sprint up to B, you touch the cone with your right hand. You side shuffle, meaning you don't cross your feet at all, okay? So it's like you're in a defensive side shuffle. To the right, you touch cone D with your right hand. You then side shuffle to the left. You don't touch B on this pass. Side shuffle to the left, you touch C, okay? Your hand. You come back to B, you touch B again in the middle, and then you back pedal backwards through A. So we'll do this one. It's a fun one, and it's one that's used obviously at very high levels of sports. Yes, sir.
Do we do it in class or all in our other?
We're gonna do it in class.
Same with the close your eyes and balance one?
Huh?
Same with the
Yep.
balance one? Okay.
Yep.
'Cause
There's about-
I started that one.
There's about 5 of them that we're gonna do in class. So even though they're uploaded, guys, it doesn't mean that you're gonna be doing those on your own.
Okay.
Yeah. I just try to have most everything uploaded. Okay, so we're already to the Fit VP here. Neuromotor training workout components, the frequency. What do you know? 2 to 3 days. Okay. Intensity. This is hard. It's not clearly defined because everyone is so different when it comes to neuromotor training. And the exercise prescription can be so different as well. So this is really going to be based on your ability to continue doing the exercise and maintaining your form. Kind of like Monday, Tuesday. I got my days mixed up this week. Kind of like Tuesday. You notice sometimes I would tell you, hey, you know, you need to get lower, you need to get your back straighter, you need to sit up more, you're not on pace, you need to get back on pace. Those are things that determine your level of fatigue. And so intensity is really going to be determined based on what your threshold is, okay? Time, 30 to 40 minutes for each session. So if we're talking 2 days a week, you're talking about 60 minutes of neuromotor training. And a lot of you guys may not recognize it, but a lot of you guys are already including neuromotor pieces within your training regimen, okay? You're already including those. Type, balance, coordination, agility, sport-specific tasks. It can be sport position-specific tasks as well. Volume, awareness of physical limits will allow correct form, proper wiring, right? That correct form is going to allow for proper wiring, is what that means. If you continue to do the exercise incorrectly, you let your form slip and you keep doing it because you're like, oh, I can keep going, okay? It's like when I watch a squat, you know, turn from a great squat to this squat, okay? It's not good form. So now I'm not training the proper networks. I'm not training that proper wiring. I'm sending bad signals now that I don't want muscle memory to pick up. Progression based on their baseline level of conditioning and personal comfort with neuromotor exercises, right? It's really just individual based, guys. Here are some sample neuromotor training progressions. So, for example, you can change your foot position and posture to gradually reduce that base of support, right? We talked about 2 legs to 1 leg. You can vary dynamic movements that challenge the center of gravity. So instead of just doing something statically, start to do it dynamically. If you're moving dynamically, you have to work harder to keep your center of gravity over your base of support. Challenge your postural muscle groups. Kind of talked about, remember I had you in class sit up the other day, right? Was checking your posture, postural muscle groups. Gradually reduce sensory input. Took away your eyes earlier. Complete exercises on progressively unstable surfaces. We talked about stability discs. We talked about BOSU balls, okay? You could also use like a Swiss ball. Gradually increase the movement speed. And then, of course, we can add some sort of resistance. We can add weights to it to make it even harder, make it even more challenging. So example for stationary balance, right? Single leg standing balance. We also have a semi-tandem. So tandem means heel to toe, tandem, okay? You're walking tandem. Or versus walking, you know, like this. We're going to talk a little bit more about, you know, that would be kind of agility. That's like braided walking. Really good for older adults to do because sometimes that can throw off their center of gravity, and then they're trying to catch themselves, and you know, they're trying to prevent the risk of falling. If we look at push-ups or any types of push exercises, push-ups, do a prone plank, up-down prone plank, pulls, dynamic balance, hurdle stepping, great for older adults as well, great for kids too. Lunge forward with reach, step up with overhead reach. So lots of different exercises, different ideas here. Okay, what I would like you to do right now is I actually want you to get with a few other people, and I want you to try to come up with 3. I'm going to be very broad here. I'm not going to give you specifics. Okay, you're going to come up with 3 different neuromotor exercises, and I want you to think about modifications for those neuromotor exercises. How do you make it harder? How do you make it easier? Okay, so think about maybe how you'd prescribe it for yourself versus how you'd prescribe it for a child or an older individual. Okay, so you and your group are going to come up with 3. Ready? Set, go.
Is this push up? We have like a oh yeah, you push up without touching the other end. Oh really? Yeah. And so it's just looks like it's one of the I'm not sure if that's yeah, well, I'm actually done. Yeah. I can just. I've done things. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Did he catch the today? Oh yeah.
Yeah, touching your feet one time. That will, so that is fine. With your eyes closed.
Oh, you're training your muscle. So, I mean, technically, yes, it is.
You do it the other problem. I'm just doing it until I get tired. Check this out.
Beginner and moderate would be like just doing something to get us feel better. But then you can't
Yeah, I'm trying to make it all. These boards that have, balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they really did,
Yeah.
That's where I'm with it.
We have a listening session, report session. Then do that twice. Yeah, like recovery. So it's just good. Then I got out of class, I go back and go more relaxing. Depending on easy days, swim workout, an extra swim workout, top of our run.
It's a skateboard with two wheels.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like he does it to himself.
We have to label that.
So the board flexes, right? Oh, and that's how you.
Oh.
And since there's only two wheels, the wheels.
Just because all of this, whether it's run, chase, or swimming, all those little workouts, stay right? They help. Oxy, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
That's swimming.
So right, it looks so.
Yeah, and it just like look good on.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
It's not messy, but it's like two wheels. It's boring, it's very long. Yeah.
What things are you?
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
The last three.
Just the bar was put to the. But yeah, that's okay. Okay, take that. Exercise. Well, you have to do that.
So I jam myself.
All right, guys, what I would like to do is I would like, I need like
daughter's kindergarten class does. Class, yes, yes. Okay. So what I would like to do now is I'm gonna put you into a group, all right? And I want you guys to essentially challenge each other on the exercises that that you guys discussed, that you came up with. So if you're listening to somebody else describe an exercise, I want you to be thinking, what are the modifications that you would do for that exercise? Okay, how would you make it harder? How would you make it easier? So I'm not saying challenge, don't be like, oh yeah, well, okay. I don't mean that. I mean, did you think about this? Or what if you were to do this? What do you think about that? Bouncing ideas off of each other, okay? So I think what I would like is for you 2 groups to go together and you 3 groups to go together, okay? Thanks, guys.
Alright, who's the spokesperson?
It's kind of all for this, 3 of us. I would just look
Well, somebody
Uh,
speak up and give us a
All right, so
perspective.
we were saying that
Yeah, kitchen.
there's a BOSA ball. You know what that is? And it's like flat on the bottom, and it's like
Oh,
like a half ball thing. And then yeah, you just like bounce on it on one foot.
And there's this one that.
Yeah, so you kind of like.
That's, yeah, no, you're talking about. People can do that.
And then maybe you close your eyes.
Yeah.
Which one from you guys?
Okay, so we have a square that we just still like to. Yeah, it was something that we did in Saunders, so we would like have a square. And then you would run from one corner to the other and then side shuffle the other corner, and then you would sprint to the other corner, and then you would back pedal. And then you would just do that. Hence the name.
And what we said, that's something that's part of the.
Was the criteria. We had to do it until there was an infinite. One time.
You want to tell them whatever.
So.
You have the reaction time of having to catch the ball. Is there other ways? Any.
And you're already on one leg.
Reaction time of having to predict somebody else.
Guys, second one.
So take a foam roller, basically, you put a board on it.
What's the challenge?
You can go to,
You can get tennis balls thrown into this height too.
Our second idea is very similar to
it's just, a lot of stuff is just variations to
I'd say against.
standard. Or like. Something similar to that. I've done a lot of this stuff. Yeah.
Maybe dot or any dot.
Just a lot of.
Yeah, basically that.
What you could do is you get those who want jumping. And that is long. And to make it hard, you could go to do it, it's really hard, but I guess you could.
And then you can like.
Yeah, sure. Also talk to somebody. That would actually be really good to have a conversation, yeah. Do something simple.
What is it? How can you even think this is going to that? Feel bad for that, I know. It's not always good.
Some bounce.
What's your guys' last one?
I don't know if they're exactly called, but for transform up to like,
I suppose. That would definitely be dangerous.
I suppose.
What was the last, like, do you walk? Oh, yeah, that's right, the tandem. Yeah. And then both driving backwards. So walking tandem backwards and then challenging yourself by closing your eyes and staying toe to heel the whole time.
Especially in the straight line, you go like curve off.
Yeah. It is straight line.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's another challenge for that?
oh, that's a good
If your eyes were open, you could like try to.
Is that what it is?
Are walking backwards in. Yeah.
Could also be like, you have to remember when you're. Different obstacle courses, start getting. Each one was great, like. I just remember the one was the circular path. And different size. It's basically like floor lava. You have to be on the path. And you come different size. It's like decide how you get through it. Different
I used to do something like that in class, Brandon. I'd make them, I'd only put out so many things. And then you get like 5 speed.
So do you guys do that, bring those items back? Some help, and some of you guys do, like, with some items, stuff, what's it called?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, but have you done it? Yeah.
We do dump. I do
How hard?
Oh, like, depending on how most of like these play versus small ones.
I was thinking pulling play.
Only in place. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay, guys, I think most everyone's wrapped up. Thank you for talking with others about this. I would love for you to grab your phone or your computer and hop into this Kahoot. And when we're done with the Kahoot, you are free to go. Almost ate it there, Celia.
shoot something cool.
Okay, everybody in that wants to be in? Here we go. The neuromuscular system includes all except bones, muscles, nervous system, and neurons. Mhm. Two front. Nice job, guys. Good work. Gosh, that's funny. True or false? The neuromuscular system coordinates every motor task completed throughout the day. Nice. Yep. Number 3, neuromotor training is said to improve all except for balance, muscle strength, oxygen utilization, muscle recruitment. Good job, guys. Nice work. Emily takes the lead. True or false? Neuromotor training can enhance muscle force production. True, definitely, right? We talked about muscle recruitment. Thus, we can have increased force production. Neuromotor training should be done blank days per week, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 2 to 3, 4 to 5. Two to 3, nice. Everybody got that one. Emily's still in the lead, 6 of 8. The intensity at which a person should engage in neuromotor training is low, high, moderate, not clearly defined. Not clearly defined. Yep, remember it's very individualized, so there's no clear intensity set for fit. The total time in which a person should spend on neuromotor training per session is blank minutes. 30 to 45, 20 to 30, 50 to 60, 15 to 20. Good, 30 to 45. Again, a lot of this is already built into whatever muscular strength training you're doing. You're including your neuromotor component in that. Emily, nice job. Last one. All of the following are examples of neuromotor training except balance, coordination, agility, treadmill running. Treadmill running, nice job. Okay. Did Emily hang on to it? Elise got third. Emily second. Who came in first? I was 1 point reigning champ. He was quicker on the trigger. That's what that means. All right. Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back on Tuesday.
I think I'll be gone next Thursday.